In Deep Rock Galactic Survivor, you need to rock and stone to survive. I'm here to teach you how to do this in a way that will make Carl proud. The most important thing in DRG Survivor is to understand how weapons work. Weapons have different properties that are displayed right below the weapon when you pick them. Generally, you want to pick weapons that share the same properties so that they can synergize. This way your passive upgrades will often affect several of your weapons instead of just one or two, like upgrades that target only medium-sized weapons or projectile-based weapons. When picking a new weapon, you'll see these dots appear down in your weapon's overview. They tell you how many properties the new weapon will share with your existing weapons. 3 dots means there's 3 shared properties and lots of synergy to be had, while no dots means there's no shared properties and no synergy to be had. In short, many dots good, few dots bad. There's also a very helpful arrow up indicator that lets you know which weapons will be affected by each upgrade. Very helpful when trying to maximize power. Weapons also have levels. Even though it might look like weapons have a level cap of 12 and later on 18, this is not the case. They are uncapped and you can keep on increasing their power after reaching this threshold. Every time you get an upgrade for a weapon, it levels up. What the levels do is unlock and install overclocks for you. Overclocks are super buffs to your weapons that can be totally game-changing in some instances. Overclocks are permanently unlocked for a weapon the first time you get it to level 12. When you use this weapon again in future runs, you will now be able to install overclocks at level 6, 12 and 18. You can see these thresholds in the upgrade selection screen. I'm not going to cover all the different overclocks in this video since there's simply too many, but they include things like adding wheels to your turrets or changing the damage type. Unlocking these overclocks is where you will see your first major power spike in the game. Heavily focusing on unlocking overclocks during your first few hours in the game is a choice you won't regret. I aim to unlock overclocks for at least one weapon in each of my runs early on, and it was definitely a good choice. You'll notice a big difference in your power during dives where you have lots of overclocks and dives where you don't. Some of them even affect other weapons in your arsenal. New weapons are unlocked passively by playing the different classes and ranking them up, and there's lots of them. There's no trick to this other than simply playing the game and new weapons will come to you in time. It is a bit of a grind, but it is a fun grind. Each class has a set of weapons that can be unlocked and most of these can be used across different classes, so I would recommend not sticking to one specific class too much if you want to unlock as many weapons as possible. When it comes to classes, there's 4 of them. The Scout is unlocked by default and the rest become available to you as you level up your player rank. This is the same as leveling up your class rank, only that it's shared between all classes. It's an account level of sorts. Play anything and you'll get the characters in time. The characters start out with different weapons and different stats. The pool of weapons they have access to is also varied. The Scout is a fast boy that starts out with an assault rifle. He's a decent all-around class, but to me doesn't feel as special as he does in the original Deep Rock Galactic. The Gunner is a tank that has a minigun and mostly projectile-based weapons and grenades. Get the piercing overclock for the minigun and he destroys everything. The Driller has a high mining speed and a gun that shoots out of your butt. A butt gun. On top of this, he has access to beam guns that shoots out beams of fire, sludge and other nasty stuff that deals damage over time. The Engineer has higher XP gain and starts out with turrets. He also has access to construct weapons like additional turrets and drones. Overclocking the turrets to have wheels is some of the most fun I've had in this game. Leveling up each class rank, like I mentioned before, also unlocks class mods that give each class different passives and a different starting weapon. The Gunner's Juggernaut class mod, for instance, ditches the minigun for a revolver and makes you even more of a tank while giving you a damage buff upon taking damage. Each class currently has 3 class mods that you'll passively unlock over time. They change up the playstyle quite a bit, so I definitely recommend trying out the different ones to see which ones you like the best. Weapons and class mods aren't the only thing you can unlock. There's also a fair amount of artifacts that have specific objectives for you to complete before you unlock them. Some are passively unlocked by mining so and so much of the different ores, while some require you to target certain stats or perform certain feats. Take a look at the milestones page and artifacts tab to get an overview of what you need to do. Some of these can give you a very decent power spike during your dives, like the nitrogenic powder that gives you increased critical hit chance based on how much nitra you're holding. This is why I also recommend that you always go and open up that supply pod to stack up on artifacts. And as an added bonus, the supply drop can even squish and one-shot elites and bosses for you. I would expect this to be patched soon. Now, minerals and mining. It wouldn't be a Deep Rock Galactic game without mining. During your dives you can mine 8 different materials. Gold and nitra are your main resources for use while on a dive. Both of these are used between stages to shop for upgrades in the store. Gold will let you buy passive stat upgrades that affect yourself or several weapons at once, while nitra lets you buy upgrades for your weapons. One is certainly not more important than the other, so I would aim at mining as much as you can of each one. Gold seems to be more abundant than nitra. The upgrades from the shop are the same upgrades you'll see when leveling up, but they seem to have a base chance of spawning at a higher rarity. Each upgrade you buy in the shop is basically like a level up, so I always try to get as much currency as I can so I can clear out the shop. You'll see gold and nitra on the minimap as a slightly sharper shade of green, so keep an eye out. It's also worth knowing that you can re-roll the shop even if you cleared it out to get even more upgrades. The remaining 6 ores are used for meta progression alongside credits. These appear as a single cluster that you can mine, and they look the same on the minimap as the gold and nitra, only smaller. Most of the time just a dot. Credits are gained from completing or failing missions, and I think based on how much gold you collected during the dive. At least that's how it is in the original Deep Rock Galactic game. These ores let you buy smaller permanent passive stat increases from the main menu screen. 2 and 2 stats here share the same ore, so you won't really have to make any hard choices. There's also a mineral market here which lets you buy and sell ores. I wouldn't go too crazy with this, seeing as you need to keep some minerals in your pocket to actually buy the upgrades, but I've been using the market when I'm missing just a few ores to unlock an upgrade. Another important thing to keep an eye on is the secondary objectives. These are unlocked when you've collected a total of 100 gold across all your dives. Secondary objectives are rather easy to complete by collecting a specific mission or picking up flowers around the map. You can easily recognize secondary mission objectives on the minimap as they're displayed as bright white dots. There's one objective per stage, and completing them gives you an explosion of both XP and gold. Always aim to complete these, seeing as they're quite easy to do and a great source of gold. You will be wandering the map in search of gold and nitra anyway, so picking up these extra objectives won't be much of a detour. Each objective missed is a missed opportunity for increased power during your run. You don't want to miss out on those legendary upgrades from the store just because you didn't bother with picking flowers. Carl would be disappointed. Lastly, remember to press V as often as you can. This greatly increases your chance of success, because remember, if you don't rock and stone, you ain't coming home. I will slowly but surely have more content on Deep Rock Galactic Survivor coming up, so subscribe if you want to check that out. I always appreciate feedback, so let me know how much this video sucks. Rock and stone, Survivor!